All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Brenna Davis, and I am the Director of Integral Ecology at the Ignatian Solidarity Network. And so we are really excited to be starting the Ignatian Energy Star pilot program. And we just wanted to give you kind of a brief summary of what the program is, what our hopes are, and why it might be beneficial for your school to sign up. And also, how to get energy started, because sometimes the biggest hurdle in our way is just where to begin. And I'm also very grateful to have my colleague Elena here from BC High. And Elena is going to share a little bit about how BC High uses the Energy Star and Portfolio Manager to track their energy. So Elena, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you for asking me to be part of this, Brenna, and hi to everyone. I'm a science teacher at Boston College High School. I helped a few students last year. A few of our amazing seniors did an energy audit, and they put together a pretty impressive presentation that they did at the teach-in that kind of looked at our energy use. And so we're hoping that that is the first step in kind of really watching our energy consumption and being aware of what we're using, how much we're using, and where that energy is coming from.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm just going to give a couple of overarching kind of data points and why we're doing this. And then Elena is going to kind of give us a little more practical information about what this looks like. We're getting Ignatian Energy started. And so really the inspiration for this program was we, along with our colleagues at the Jesuit Conference, got connected with a few folks at the EPA. So the Energy Star program is a program from the Environmental Protection Agency of the US government. And so we're really hoping that we can use this program as an opportunity to do some collective benchmarking. And in my own work, I enter into this work really with our mission in mind. And so Father Arturo Sosa, who is the General Superior of the Jesuits, recently shared this. So as we think about the universal apostolic preferences at our schools, last year he wrote that in all of the provinces and regions, it's recognized that we have not found the way forward or changed our life mission to collaborate in the care for our common home in new and effective manner. So he's basically saying we still have a lot to do on UAP4. It's like the UAP that we've really struggled with the most. And what I think is really interesting is he says the call of the Pope in his encyclicals and interventions is far ahead of our actions. There's a growing desire to do something, but we need to move beyond good intentions. Often our actions are more cosmetic than genuinely ecological conversion that requires profound changes in our lifestyle and work, which we consciously and unconsciously resist. And it also means reviewing and making decisions about our daily lives. That is what kind of energy we use in our homes and institutions, right? And so Father Sosa is really giving us the go ahead to say, hey, at our Jesuit and Catholic institutions, we really need to be thinking about practical ways that we can change the kind of business as usual and how we're using energy. And so these are just kind of the goals of our program is really we can't know where we're going until we understand where we're at. And so we really want for schools to be able to create a baseline to understand where we are as individual schools, but then also as a network of schools. How much energy are we using across the United States? Our goal is to measure our progress year by year, right? So the idea is we get the baseline data in the first year, and then we can see kind of how that's changing if we are implementing practices at our schools, like changing light bulbs or getting a new boiler. We want to be able to have that data that everyone can see how that is being impacted. Measure our impact across the Ignatian family, use our energy scores to help us compare impact across the network. And I'll talk a little bit more about the Energy Star scores in just a minute. And reduce our collective greenhouse gas emissions, right? That is ultimately what we want to do. And we want to be able to measure that. So we're always working in that direction, but sometimes we don't always have the data to prove that. And ultimately, in the second year of the program, especially, we're hoping to find ways to help schools save money through energy efficiency and renewable energy. And when we get to talking about the Energy Star score, there are actually then opportunities for grants and for financial support for your school as you're trying to make infrastructure upgrades. Um, so I do just have a couple of slides from the Energy Star. They just recently did a webinar and they have a really great help section. So that's where these images are coming from. But basically, Portfolio Manager is the tool that we use for the Energy Star program. And basically, what it can do is it can actually measure energy, water, and waste consumption across your entire campus. And it's one part of like this broader strategic plan to reduce consumption and costs at your institution. And it really allows us to compare, measure, and track our consumption over time and set baseline goals, targets to generate metrics that show like where we really need to grow on our properties. Is there a particular area of our school campus that we could focus on that would have the biggest impact in terms of upgrades? Because we know making those decisions can be expensive and time consuming. Um, and so this really is hopefully going to allow us to be able to make investment decisions about conservation and efficiency and track the impact of these strategies. So again, I know that Elena and I were talking about how like they replaced all of their lights with LED lights, right, in the school. And so it's like, okay, now that we did that, let's like look at the data and see what kind of impact that's having. And the portfolio manager is free, it's online, and it is secure. So I think that those are kind of important pieces of this. If you have solar panels or renewable energy, that can also be tracked. And so that will be mixed into the data to see how much you're producing versus consuming. And there are a lot of really cool custom reports you can make and share with others. And then you can apply for that Energy Star certification. And we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of all of that today. This is again like the 10,000 foot overview. Um, but I just wanted to share that it can track hundreds of metrics in this first year. We're encouraging schools just to focus on energy usage. So we'll just be looking at electricity bills, but there are parts of the platform where you can track waste and water as well. And you get an Energy Star score once you have 12 months of data in the system. And I'll talk about the Energy Star score in just a moment, but it's a really helpful tool to kind of know where you are at in comparison with other schools and with other buildings that are similar to yours. And then you can also just have one kind of point of reference for your greenhouse gas emissions at your institution. And so, yeah, I thought that this was a helpful chart to see kind of what you can use Portfolio Manager to do. So these are all of the things that it can measure. Again, in this program, we're really going to be focusing on energy. So establishing a baseline. Sorry, my Zoom is really sensitive. And so I'm not trying to raise my hand for anyone who's here live, right? But we can establish a baseline and then use that to compare over time and actually nationally across our Jesuit schools. So like and our Catholic schools. So the hope is that we'll actually be able to kind of create a graph of all of our schools and see where we're at. And again, not to shame anyone, but really just to help us understand where we can improve. And if a school is doing particularly well, maybe we can reach out to them and learn from them in order to make upgrades on our own campuses. And I think that what's also really helpful is that sometimes I think it's kind of hard on a high school campus to set a target reduction goal. And so this is a tool that's going to make that actually very doable and very practical. And then you can apply for the Energy Star certification recognition. And so what this is it's basically a score from 1 to 100. And if you get a 75 or higher, you are Energy Star certified. And what's really interesting about this is that the score is normalized for weather data. So, our school in Phoenix, Arizona versus Boston, Massachusetts, right? The temperature is very different in those places and the needs are different. So they do kind of normalize data so that we are actually comparing apples to apples when we're looking at our energy usage across our institutions. And I think I said this before, but we need 12 months of data in order to get a score, which is why one of our hopes for this first year is that you would be able to enter your electricity bills from 2023 for the entire year. So you could have a score to start out with, and then you could already start that comparison with 2024. Um, yeah, and then, the final thing is because we are creating kind of an umbrella account is we'll be able to group our buildings together and pull really interesting reports, that will be helpful for us as we're trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions as a network. So I am going to stop sharing there. I'm also gonna lower my hand. And before I turn it over to Elena, just wondering if anybody who's here live has any just like initial questions about anything that I just shared. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to pass it over to Elena, who's going to talk about Energy Star as it is at BC High right now.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Brenna. Thanks for the opportunity here. This really got kickstarted by a group of students last year, a group of amazing seniors who did a ton of work, who really had been inspired at the Ignatian Family Teach-In, and they came home and really wanted to do something. They really wanted to, sorry, my computer's acting crazy. Can you see my screen? Not yet. Yeah.
Lodato C, yeah.
Okay, spectacular. So thank you. So the boys were really inspired at the teach-in a few years back, and they came back to our school and they really wanted to do something. And they, as brilliant as they were, they put their energy into an energy audit, which gave us a lot of information, both positive and negative, about our school's performance. So these are the boys here. Will Hartford, Danny Moylan, and Jack Reardon had done all of this work. If you were at the teach-in last year, I think you had the opportunity to see them, talk about this. They were great. So they got all kinds of information. The key here was involving the whole school. It was involving our finance office. We had asked for bills and all kinds of data like that. And initially it was kind of poo-pooed and, oh, we'll get back to you. But over time, I think because it was student driven, folks realized how interested the kids really were. When the kids met with different folks across the school, they conveyed the reasons that they were doing this. And so it was really helpful. So here are a few of the charts that we put together. Again, I think when this is student driven, so if you're thinking about doing this at your school, I think it makes a lot of difference that it is student driven. I do feel like, folks are, they want to help the kids, especially when it's for a good reason. And we talk a lot about Laudato Si here. I teach a climate change class. I've also taught an environmental science. One of our Jesuits is now teaching faith, hope, love, and climate change. So there is a good contingent here at BC High who are very interested in our effect on the environment, our impact on it, in all kinds of ways. So we certainly have a lot of interest in different aspects of the school. So I'm just kind of throwing up a few of the data things, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the Energy Star piece of it. But here are some of the things that the kids came up with. I'm happy to give anyone this information if you're interested one-on-one. So we looked at electricity, we looked at water, and we looked at waste. And so we also looked at our endowment. We looked at how much we put into the environment. And then we also looked at kind of what our potential solutions were. That's a little harder, as you can probably imagine. This is, I think, the piece that you might be the most interested in. So we looked at the Energy Star score at BC High, and we compared it to other Boston area schools. And as you can see, where that little red line, so we have not done a great job. in that regard. Our score was a 37. We were the 21st lowest score. So I think that even though the news wasn't great in that area, I think it gave us a good starting point. You know, we're in the city, we're on an old dump here. Our facility is on an old dump. We're building a new building. So there's lots of things that go into kind of taking away from our Energy Star score, but I do think that there's a lot of things we've done that is good. As Brenna mentioned earlier, our facility staff is amazing. They replaced all of our light bulbs, you know, kind of even before this happened. So we have LED lights, and so we have lights that go off automatically in the classroom. So there's lots of things, kind of the low-lying fruit that we have done. But we clearly have a very long way to go. I think the Energy Star platform that Brenna showed us earlier is going to be great. I think in terms of involving your students, if your students are interested in kind of data collecting, you know, I had the boys email folks initially, and then, you know, CC me on it so that the other adults in the building knew that this was something that was being kind of monitored, or had the patronage of an adult. And so, again, I think coming from them, you're going to get a lot farther. But I also think that maybe familiarizing the kids with that platform will be a great resource for both them and for you. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens over the course of a year, and then how you compare to other schools in your area. And I think, you know, in this particular case, we're not doing great, especially schools that are our size. And we are pretty big for our area. And that's okay, right? That gives us certainly a lot of room for improvement. And even though when I look at this, so the median score is a 15, so that's again not, 50, that's not great. But I think that the more involved we can get our students, the more likely we are to improve our score. You know, if it's from things like closing windows and shutting off lights to, you know, amping up our recycling a little bit, which is certainly something that we need to do. There's lots and lots of areas that we can improve. So I don't want to talk too much. I appreciate all of your time. This is just sort of from our lens here. This may seem a little daunting initially, but it's not as bad as it seems, especially if you have a few kids that are interested. I would really encourage you to kind of reach out to them and have them kind of take the lead. And I'm happy to talk to you if you want to contact me sort of off screen about what we did, and just, you know, things where we succeeded and where we failed, if that is going to help you at all. I'm happy to kind of give you that feedback, and you can certainly
In
get
the
my email.
stories, whatever. All right. Thanks, Elena. Yeah, so I think that that's just really helpful and very practical to see what this looks like. And I just want to, I know that like getting started, it again, like Elena said, it can feel really daunting. But basically there are 3 steps to get started. So the first step is, simply to create an account in Portfolio Manager. And I'm going to be, for anyone who has signed up as interested in the pilot program, I'm going to be sending out like really short instructional videos in emails just to help you get the process started. And I'll pull up Portfolio Manager in just a moment, very quickly. You'll complete the data collection worksheet, and I have that right here. And so basically this is what the data collection worksheet looks like for secondary schools. And I will also send this out. It's also available in Portfolio Manager, but this is the type of information that you need. So this is probably going to be the most time consuming part, is talking to a facilities director or someone who knows the total gross floor area of your property, right? And for everything that is highlighted in blue, if you click it, it brings you to a glossary that can help you understand what is year built, what is the gross floor area. So they are really helpful, but these are the things that they need. So gross floor area, is it a high school? The number of workers on main shift, clearly this wasn't written for school. So this would be like, how many students and teachers do you have in the building during the day? Do you use weekend operation? Is your school functioning on the weekends? And cooking facilities, the percent that can be heated, the percent that can be cooled. And then this information down here, so these are kind of the basics that you need. And but we'll also get you an Energy Star score. And then if you have seating capacity, months in use, number of computers, gross floor area for the kitchen, and number of walk-in freezer units, and then your gym floor area and your school district. So that's like the most detailed part. This is the stuff that you need if you want to get an Energy Star score. This is the basic stuff that you need if you just want to register in Portfolio Manager. So like I said, one conversation or two conversations with facilities should clear that up. And then finally, you submit your 2023 and 2024 electricity bills in Portfolio Manager. And you can have a student do that. You can do a manual submission, or you can upload it as a spreadsheet. I will just show you very quickly. And like I said, there will be guided videos to show you how to do all of this, but when you log into Portfolio Manager, this is what it looks like. And basically, I have a sample school in here currently. And so this is where you would go to upload your energy data. And like I said, I will send more detailed videos about how to do it. It looks complex, but it's actually very simple. And so and they have all these helpful tools here. 5 ways to enter bill data. You can do it manually. You can use the spreadsheet. You can use the complex spreadsheet. You can hire an organization, which actually, if worse came to worse and you just didn't want to do it, if you sent me your energy bills, I would type them in for you. I am here to be your resource and to make this really easy, because at ISN, we believe so much in this program and in Father Arturo Sosa's call to, like, let's practically figure out what we're going to do collectively to make a change. So that is the basic layout of the program and why we would like to do it. There was a couple of questions that were submitted ahead of time from a teacher who couldn't be here. So one of the questions was, they said they know some utilities have historical records you can download digitally as an Excel spreadsheet. Can you automate the uploading of current or historical energy usage? And the answer is yes. So they have those spreadsheets, so you can just upload it all in one shot if you use the format of their spreadsheet. And that would, again, be a good experience for a student who's interested in data and wants to learn how to use spreadsheets. And then there was another question about the waste tracking function, which, again, we're not going to focus on as much this year. But if you wanted support in that, we would be more than happy to help you. And then they asked about reports. And so I was just on a webinar. There are a million different reports you can pull from this. You'll have more information than you wanted or needed. But I think what will be really cool is our collective reporting as a network as well. So yeah, so those were some of the questions. And I just saw something else in the chat. Does anyone else have any questions who are live here now? I know that was a lot, but we wanted to make it quick for you because we know you're busy.
So I have a question for Elena. Elena, after you put the initial data in, how often have you updated then?
Oh, that's
Or how often does Energy Star want you to update?
That's a great question, Karen. Thanks. I actually just talked to someone at the school because we've had a lot of transition and we have newer folks in our finance office. So I connected myself with the person who is now doing all of our Energy Star stuff. And so I too have to sign up and do the platform and to put all the data in. So this was data that we had collected before. So this new data, the Energy Star sort of form and everything that that Brenna just showed us, is a lot easier than what we had done. But I don't know that it was available at the time that we did it. So I'll be right there with you, putting stuff in and meeting with the folks, because our students that did this graduated. So now it's kind of on me to do that uploading. So I'm going to take you up on that, Brenna.
Yeah, send me your bills. I'll do
Just
it.
kidding.
I think that the goal on our end, so I spoke, we have a partner at the EPA and they are so responsive. So if anyone needs anything, we can connect you directly with them or I will find an answer for you. Ideally, it would be monthly, but if that seems like impossible or unreasonable, it can be quarterly. And for a very few blessed number of schools, your utilities are already connected with Energy Star and I'll have a video to show you how to figure out if that information can just automatically be shared with Energy Star. They have assured me it is not many utilities that make it easy to do that, but you might be one of the lucky ones where that would just get uploaded every month when your bill comes out. Great. Oh yeah.
So all I saw was bills for the data collection. I mean, your square footage might likely won't change and percent usage would change over summertime or other non-instructional times. So just wondering, as far as the monthly update, are you really looking at energy bills? Is that what you're?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
oh, okay.
you're putting in like and again, like there are other metrics that we can use, but honestly what we're really hoping all of our schools will do is just put in the kilowatt hour usage for each of the meters that you have an energy bill for. So it's literally just in September, meter 1 used X amount of kilowatt hours, meter 2 used X amount of kilowatt hours. So it becomes a little more complex if you have multiple meters, but that is what we're hoping to track right now.
And I'm assuming the data will be shared with all of us once you get it. I would just be curious on where we are. And I also, I'm assuming that that data, Elena, for BC high school was normalized for square footage and that kind of thing.
Yes, we are a pretty big school. We are building some new buildings. So even since we submitted this, our data has changed quite a bit. We're building a huge pool on our campus. So there's lots going on. And so, yeah, it's all different now.
Yeah, and there are so Boston is a city that requires Energy Star reporting. So that's like kind of nice so that's how Elena was able to pull that report with all of the high schools in the city. And so that's our hope is we would not share, I'm not going to share your energy bills at DeSmet with Karen at Gonzaga, right? But like we'll pull a report just to show like these are our Energy Star scores. This is where we're generally at. So we're not trying to share personal data. We don't need to know how much you spent on energy. It's just really how can we use this as a baseline to see where we're at. So we would definitely share reports and updates. But yeah, we're still working it out. So it would also be helpful to have feedback from you all and from your schools about like, yeah, do you feel comfortable sharing your Energy Star score? Because that's, hopefully where we're headed. Again, not to shame people, but just to say, okay, as a network, this is where we're at and we want to be here. Great. Well, great questions, everyone. Oh yeah. Didn't someone else have a question? Yeah.
Well, I did, but I don't want to monopolize. I know people have to go. I'm just curious because we're about to build. We have a large build. So as some of this information, I wouldn't mind getting some of the information as we preemptive as we're planning and going forward kinds of opportunities or resources to move operations and et cetera towards as they're going to the next steps.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is really smart. Again, if we can look at our historical data and then say, okay, like now we're doing this new build, like what do we want to do differently, so that we are more energy efficient? Like how much money would we actually end up saving in the long run if we've had this building for 50 years, you know, and we're paying X amount because it's not really efficient. I know that sometimes it's hard to, you know, get people to take on costs on the front end, but I think that this data can be really helpful, and then it can be edited. So like say you add another 10,000 square feet to your school, we can go into your account and update that with all of the data. So yeah. Yeah. Our initial hope, we launched this during the season of creation, which is just like a busy time of year. It's September into October. So we were hoping to have people's, you know, energy data in by St. Francis Day, but you know, we are a flexible people. And so now you know, there's no pressure on our end. It's not like you must have your energy data in by this day or you're out. But I just keep trying to set dates that feel realistic so that there is a deadline, because sometimes if things are just dangling, they don't get done. So my hope is by the end of COP29 in November, and I'll look up the dates, I haven't published this anywhere, that we could all try to at least have like our data collection worksheets in and maybe 2023's data in, so that by the end of this year, we at least have like a baseline for our schools. So like my hope is the end of November. Again, no, there's no official deadline. We're just trying to, yeah, think about like what's a collective date we could all try to commit to this. So, yeah. But it's about 3 minutes after that half hour, so I promised a 30-minute brief meeting. So if anyone has any other questions, feel free to hang on. You can also email me at any point, and I'm here to be your Energy Star concierge. We will learn together. If I don't know an answer, I'll reach out to the EPA and we'll get it figured out. But yeah, really excited to start this journey together. And yeah, here to support along the way. So you'll be getting, if your school is signed up, already, you'll be getting emails from me just about next steps. And if you don't know if you have permission from your school to sign up, you can still fill out our form and click maybe I'm interested, and I'll still send you all of the information. So yeah, so do whatever feels comfortable. And yeah, we're here to support you. So thanks for being here, everyone.